Gautam Adani. This is one of the names that had been echoing for the past month. Now Adani is one of the fascinating figures from India, known wide not just for his immense wealth, but the mysteriousness surrounding his past and rise to power. And recently, Adani's empire has been facing some serious challenges. There have been allegations of corruption and environmental violations, and his company's stock prices have taken a hit.
You do have that investment story, the investment thesis, but the real issue comes to when you look at the collateral web for companies in the Adani Group, because this presents the real headache for
the maximum wealth erosion of the group. Stocks has actually been seen in Adani Total Gas, which has seen a market cap loss of 77% in this entire period, followed by Adani Green and Adani Transmission.
Information, stale, baseless and discredited allegations that have been tested and rejected by India's highest courts.
So what's going on? Why is one of India's most powerful businessmen suddenly facing a downfall? Overall, what's Adani Group's relevance in today's economy? Let's see. First of all, let's take a look at Gautam Adani's background. Well, he's an Indian billionaire industrialist who's made his fortune in a variety of industries, including ports, logistics, and energy. He was born in 1962 in a small town in Gujarat, India, and he started his career as a diamond sorter in Mumbai. But it wasn't long before he started to branch out into other areas of business. One of Adani's early successes was in the world of diamond trading. He started his own diamond brokerage firm in the 1980s, and he quickly became one of the most successful diamond traders in India. But Adani was never content to rest on his laurels, and he soon began to look for new opportunities. You see, one area that Adani saw as having tremendous potential was the world of infrastructure. He recognized that India's rapid economic growth was creating a huge demand for ports, logistics, and energy, and he set out to build a business that could meet that demand, and boy, did he ever succeed. Today, Adani Group is one of the largest conglomerates in India, with interests in everything from ports and logistics to energy and real estate. The company has a presence in over 50 countries around the world, and it employs over 100,000 people. But how did Adani manage to build such an empire in such a short amount of time? Well, the answer to that lies in Adani's uncanny ability to spot opportunities where others saw only challenges. You see, when Adani started his first port in Mundra, Gujarat, he faced huge logistical challenges. The port was located in a remote area, far from any major cities, and it seriously lacked the infrastructure necessary to handle large ships. But instead of seeing these challenges as obstacles, Adani saw them as opportunities. He built a rail link to connect the port to major cities, invested in state-of-the-art cranes and other equipment, and even built his own power plant to ensure a reliable source of electricity. That requires immense backup. And that's just one example of Adani's entrepreneurial spirit. He's always looking for ways to innovate, find new solutions to old problems, and create value where others see only risk. And that's why he's become such an important figure in today's economy. But what about the relevance of Gautam Adani today? Well, that's a question that's hard to answer in a single sentence. Well, I would say it's no secret that the Adani Group has been making waves in India's economy for quite some time now. In fact, they are one of the country's largest and most influential business groups, with a net worth of over $80 billion. But just how much of an influence do they really have? Well, that's where things start to get a little mysterious. You see, the Adani Group is notoriously private when it comes to sharing information about its operations and financials. This has led to a lot of speculation and controversy surrounding their true influence on India's economy. Some people believe that the Adani Group wields an enormous amount of power and that they have close ties with some of the country's most powerful politicians. Others argue that their influence has been overstated and that they are just one of many players in India's complex and diverse economy. So, what's the truth? Well, I guess the answer is probably somewhere in between. There's no denying that the Adani Group is a major player in India's economy, with interests in everything from airports to renewable energy. And it's also true that they have been the subject of some controversy and scrutiny in recent years. But at the same time, it's important to remember that India's economy is incredibly complex, with many different players and factors at play. It's hard to say exactly how much influence any one company or group really has. So, what can we take away from all of this? Well, I think the main point is that the Adani Group is a fascinating and important player in India's economy, and that its influence is something that is definitely worth paying attention to. Whether you love them or hate them, there's no denying that they are a major force to be reckoned with. And that's why I think it's so important to keep digging deeper and learning more about the Adani Group and how they fit into the larger picture of India's economy. While the Adani Group is still growing at an incredible pace, it's playing an increasingly important role in India's economy. The company's investments in renewable energy, for example, are helping to drive India's transition to a more sustainable future. And Adani's recent acquisition of Mumbai International Airport can be seen as a sign of the company's ambition to expand its presence in the aviation sector. But on the other hand, Adani Group is also facing some serious challenges. For one thing, the company's controversial Carmichael coal mine in Australia has drawn fierce opposition from environmental activists, who argue that the project will have devastating impacts on the Great Barrier Reef. And Adani's close ties to the Indian government have led to accusations of crony capitalism and conflicts of interest. Now, aside from all of that, Adani faced one of the biggest crashes of his life recently. So, what caused their recent crash? Well, it all started with reports of an investigation by the National Securities Depository Limited, or NSDL, into 3 of Adani's companies: Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone, Adani Power, and Adani Transmission. The investigation was related to allegations of frozen accounts, which basically means that the accounts in question were not able to be accessed or moved due to some sort of legal or regulatory issue. Now, this might not sound like a big deal at first, but it caused a lot of panic among investors. You see, Adani Group companies are some of the most widely held stocks in India, with millions of investors owning shares. And when news of the investigation broke, people started selling their shares like crazy, fearing that the frozen accounts might mean that the companies were in some sort of financial trouble. This, in turn, caused the stock prices of Adani Group companies to plummet. At one point, Apses, for example, saw its stock price drop by over 10% in a single day. That's a huge drop for a company of that size. So, how big of a turmoil has this made in today's economy? Well, it's hard to say for sure, but it's definitely caused some ripples. The Adani Group is such a big player in so many different sectors that a crash like this is bound to have some sort of impact. Plus, the fact that so many individual investors were affected means that it's likely had a wider impact on the stock market as a whole. Of course, all of this is still somewhat shrouded in mystery. The exact details of the investigation and the frozen accounts are still unclear, and Adani Group officials have been tight-lipped about the whole thing. Some analysts have even suggested that there might be some sort of political motivation behind the investigation, as the Adani Group has been seen as being close to the current Indian government. Now, that was a brief rundown of the Adani Group's recent crash. It's definitely a story that's still unfolding, and there's likely to be more news and updates in the coming days and weeks. But for now, we'll just have to wait and see what happens next. Gautam Adani's story is far from over. With ambitious plans for growth and expansion, the Adani Group is set to play a crucial role in shaping the future of the global economy. What new ventures will they embark upon? What industries will they disrupt next? The possibilities are endless, and the future is full of surprises. So, if you want to stay ahead of the game and be in the know of the latest developments in the world of business and entrepreneurship, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Who knows what exciting stories and insights we'll uncover next? Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.